The shift happens quietly on camera, in the gap between one moment and the next. A fight ends. The winner stands with her arm raised while someone watches from the audience, not the loser, but someone connected to the loser, someone who wasn't in the ring. The camera catches her face as the decision is announced. On August 15, 2026, the State Farm Arena in Atlanta, filled with boxing fans expecting one kind of evening and receiving another entirely. Claressa Shields was there to defend undisputed heavyweight titles against Kay Scott, a legitimate title fight with stakes that belonged in a serious boxing conversation. But the real attention that night belonged to the undercard, to the space between the opening bell and the main event, where the margins between entertainment and sport blur so thoroughly that distinguishing between them becomes almost pointless. The matchup was called the Pound Baddie Showdown. The participants were two women from the Zeus Network's Baddies franchise, a reality television series that documents the lives of women, their conflicts, their allegiances, and their willingness to engage in physical altercation with one another on film. Reality television built on confrontation is different from other types of performance. The conflicts are real. The resentments are real. The physical exchanges are real. The line between genuine drama and constructed narrative becomes impossible for viewers to locate precisely, which is precisely why the format works. Tesehki and Big Lex stepped into the ring as part of this ecosystem. Tesehki, whose real name is Latifah M., had spent years on the Baddies franchise. She had established herself as someone willing to fight, someone who threw hands on camera and off, someone whose conflicts drove storylines. Big Lex Alexis Radcliffe from Akron, Ohio, had arrived on the Baddies Midwest season and immediately demonstrated that she understood the currency of confrontation. At 23 years old, with a college basketball background from Shaw University and a boutique business called Her Pretty Possessions, she carried herself with the confidence of someone who had faced resistance before, who had learned to use her height and reach and physical presence as a tool in social spaces. Before the fight, Big Lex had mentioned to boxing reporters that she had boxed briefly as a younger person, roughly 6 months of training in her past, just enough to know the basic mechanics of the sport. The build-up to the fight had been constructed as inevitable. Two women from the same television show, existing in the same social ecosystem, finally settling a question that the show itself had posed. Would it be rigged? The audience debated this before the opening bell. They debated it after the final decision. In reality, one fighter was physically larger, had longer reach, and had prepared more specifically for boxing as a sport rather than as an extension of street altercation. Big Lex landed cleaner, established her jab early, and used her physical advantages without hesitation. Tesehki came forward and through combinations, proved herself tough and durable, showed that she had trained for the moment. The judges voted unanimously for Big Lex. One scorecard. 30-27 for the winner, which is a shutout. The other two gave Tesehki a round, a gesture of respect for her durability. The fact of the matter was simple. Big Lex had won. The broader context mattered significantly. This was not the Shields-Scott fight. This was entertainment boxing, celebrity boxing, the kind of boxing that serious combat sports commentators often dismiss as farcical. Yet the evening provided something that serious boxing sometimes lacks: genuine drama. The Ray J versus Orlando Brown fight that preceded the Tesehki Big Lex bout was widely acknowledged afterward as embarrassing, poorly executed, the kind of celebrity crossover that undermined the sport. By comparison, the women's bout held genuine tension and legitimate physical exchange. Both fighters had trained. Both fighters came with something resembling technique. The crowd responded to this. The cameras captured authentic athletic effort rather than theatrical posturing. Chrisean Rock watched from the audience. She is Tesehki's sister, though their relationship exists within the broader Baddies ecosystem where familial bonds and television dynamics intersect. The live experience of watching someone you know lose in front of thousands of people and millions of viewers represents a particular kind of helplessness. You cannot affect the outcome. You can only witness. Chrisean Rock's emotional response was recorded and later broadcast and later discussed across social media platforms as an indicator of her investment in her sister's victory. The immediate aftermath of a defeat carries specific textures. The loser leaves the ring. The crowd disperses. The focus shifts. But the loss remains. An objective fact now documented, archived, retrievable. Tesehki had stepped into the ring prepared to win and had not won. This belongs to her permanently in whatever way facts belong to people who produce them publicly. It was in this context, the recent defeat of her sister, the demonstrable victory of Big Lex, the certainty that the boxing match was finished and concluded, that Chrisean Rock began streaming on social media with friends and supporters. During these streams, which were captured and reported by entertainment news outlets, she expressed a desire to fight Big Lex herself. The language she used suggested immediate intention. She said she had to have that fade with Big Lex. The word fade carries specific meaning in certain communities. It refers to a fight, a physical confrontation. By saying she had to have that fade, she was articulating a challenge. The logic is recognizable. Your sister lost to someone, so you will fight that someone to address the loss. It is the logic of family honor filtered through the mechanics of reality television and social media, where speech acts as provocation and provocation becomes content. No clear distinction exists between a genuine physical threat and a performance of one. Both produce the same immediate effects: attention, discussion, audience engagement. Both get recorded and circulated. Both become part of the permanent record. Big Lex did not remain in Atlanta for long after the fight concluded. She moved through the evening, participated in the traditional post-fight activities, engaged with people who wanted to congratulate her or discuss the bout. She posted to Instagram afterward, sharing photos from the evening and writing in her caption that everyone had counted her out, that everyone had bet against her, that everyone wanted to see her lose. She promised that this same dynamic would keep her winning. It was a standard victory post from someone who had just achieved a public victory. It contained no specific reference to Chrisean Rock. Later that evening, or perhaps the next day, Big Lex made her way to Twitch, the live streaming platform where many content creators build audiences by broadcasting their activities and conversations in real time. Hallis R. She was reacting to the full Claressa Shields vs. K. Scott event, the primary boxing card that had featured the baddies women as preliminary attractions. She watched the tape. She discussed it with people in her Twitch chat. The viewers in the chat asked her about Chrisean Rock's reaction, about whether she had seen what Tesehki's sister had said during her own streaming broadcast. Big Lex watched the clip. She heard Chrisean Rock's challenge, and in the moment captured by video and distributed across the internet, she responded in a way that acknowledged the challenge while maintaining a particular tone, not aggressive, not dismissive, but clear. She said she understood Chrisean Rock's emotional state, that she could relate to the frustration of watching someone lose. On camera, she acknowledged the pain that family members experience when watching relatives fail publicly. She expressed empathy. Then she shifted. She noted that Chrisean Rock was talking about wanting to touch her, wanting to be able to fight her. Big Lex described this as funny. Sex prab this as funny. She then articulated something more concrete. If you want it, let's set it up. She was not declining the challenge. She was not dismissing it as empty talk. She was converting Chrisean Rock's performative confrontation into a potential logistics question. If this is what you want, then the question becomes, how do we make this happen? Who arranges it? When does it occur? Where? On what platform? Under what circumstances? She emphasized that she is a certified boxer. This was her claim to legitimacy in a space where legitimacy matters for negotiating terms. She was not just someone willing to fight. She was someone with training, with credentials, with technical understanding of the sport. This distinction between being willing to fight and being qualified to fight was crucial to how she framed her response. The word set it up carries weight in this context. It is an invitation. It is a conditional acceptance of the challenge. It is a suggestion that if Chrisean Rock genuinely wants this confrontation, the proper mechanism exists to make it happen, and Big Lex would participate in that mechanism. She was not backing down. Later in the same stream, after additional clips were shown and discussed, Big Lex reiterated her position more directly. When Chrisean Rock was shown saying she had to have that fade with Big Lex responded with 2 words: set it up. The finality of this statement, its brevity and directness, communicated something different from the longer explanation that had preceded it. It was a dare. It was also a practical offer. It was a professional suggestion about how to proceed if the challenge was genuine. In the same stream, Big Lex addressed the broader conversation surrounding her victory, specifically the claims that the fight had been rigged in her favor. She showed respect for her opponent. She said, "Regardless of the critics, Tesehki did great. I love her. It was fun. Thank you, Tesehki, for teaming up with me to give everybody the Big Lex Tesehki Showdown." This was a meaningful acknowledgement because it established that the 2 women had not actually been enemies, had not genuinely disliked each other, had stepped into the ring as participants in an entertainment event. They had teamed up rather than engaged in blood conflict. The rigging question deserved direct engagement. Big Lex articulated a logical challenge to the people, claiming the fight was fixed. If I would have lost, would it have been rigged then? Would it have been rigged if I lost, or only if she lost? Does it only count one way or both ways? This was a rhetorical question designed to expose the inconsistency in claiming that the only way the fight was fair was if the expected outcome occurred. She was pointing out that her critics had established criteria that could not be falsified. If she won, it was rigged, but if she lost, that would have proven it was not rigged. This invincible claim, where no outcome could possibly demonstrate fairness, was precisely what she was calling out. She went further. She suggested that fans would have been angry with her regardless of the outcome. The social media response materialized predictably. Across Instagram, in the comments section of the Shade Room's post about Big Lex's stream reaction, people divided into camps. Some people defended the legitimacy of Big Lex's victory, arguing that she had simply been the better fighter. Others maintained that the fight was obviously rigged, that Tesehki had not performed at her level, that